Hey, welcome everybody. It is Thursday night. Yes, Thursday night. Still Thursday night. We're on the right night. And this is not attack on the politicos, or at least I should say, it is no longer attack on the politicos. We have a new president. We have a new America. Oh, first and foremost, from our show, all of us, out, at least from us. Respectfully, congratulations to Donald John Trump, the 47th President of the United States, for winning. It really doesn't matter how you feel about him, whether you like him or not. I will challenge all Americans, all historians, to give us a greater comeback in American history. And I don't care what. We might have to do a segment on that one day. But if this ain't the greatest comeback in American history, whether it's sports or whatever, this is the greatest comeback in American history. Give the man his due. He had a plan. As crazy as you may think it is, it worked. And isn't that really at the end when you make a plan? It's to work. So welcome to the new show. We're not going the route anymore. Democrats, I hope Democrats are learning. I know we did on this show that attacking, whether it's attacking the president, attacking the right, or attacking the left, it's not working anymore. It's not working. Unity in America is virtually gone. Though it's not gone, division is definitely up and on the rise. In other words, we're a country that should be united, but we're not. We're a country full of division. What we want to do on this show from this point on. We're trying to grab a new audience here, folks. You ain't watching now, you'll watch soon. Who are we trying to reach? We can go the old way, and I don't just mean this show, the wrong way. Attack left, attack right, attack him, attack her. Or we can do what we've come up with here. Welcome to United, Not Divided, where we meet on common ground. Again, the new name of the show is United, Not Divided. And our slogan here is going to be where we meet on common ground. What do we mean by that? The coach and Lori and I, we got together for a couple of hours. We talked about it. Don't we all want an America that with a government that is actually by the people and for the people? We can joke about never trusting politicians, and that used to be a very big joke. It's no longer a joke. Can we make it a joke again? And at least how does a world look where we can joke about that again? How does a world look, as Coach and I and Lori have talked a whole bunch about? How does a world look again where Republicans, independents, Democrat, politicians from everywhere reach across the aisle again to each other? I don't like what you said. I don't like what you said. But maybe we can meet on common ground. So that's what we're going to do here on the show. We're going to go, as Coach put it, we're going to find the alternative, the good alternative, by the way, because we don't have enough shit going on. We want to find the alternative. So with that said, again, welcome to the same show, but a new show with the new name, United, Not Divided, where we meet on common ground. Of course, my co-hosts still here. They're not going anywhere because they're my hostages. I'm never letting them go. Well, until it's time to check out. Of course, the lady of the house. We talk sometimes about how we met and stuff because I have a really bad memory and I forget. And Lori mentioned it not too long ago how we met, and I forgot again. And it doesn't matter. I'm just ever so grateful she's in my life. And damn sure grateful she's co-host of this show. Of course, we're talking about Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hey Ralph, how are you?
I don't know. Did I show you some love there or what?
You showed me love, and guess what?
Ah,
We met over Enrico Tario, who happens to be in our news cycle.
I didn't even know who the hell the guy was at the time. How about that?
Right.
So for all you who think I know everything, wrong. Why do you think I got people around me that do? Or at least they know more than I do. Speaking of knowing more than I do and meeting people, I won't go into details, but the coach and I, we met under other circumstances. And that was it. We didn't talk or anything. It was an email, a couple of emails, and we did business, and that was it. I knew his name was Glenn Dowdy, but that was years ago. Thank you, big guy, for the coach. Speaking of the co-host of United Not Divided, it's the coach. What's up, coach?
Not much. How you guys doing tonight?
Excited, kind of excited. Are you feeling it? I didn't even have to ask you because you got that shit-eating grin across your face.
Yeah.
I be careful how I do that. My teeth won't fall out. And yeah, excited. Really excited. So again, remember the website, it is ndscsports.com. We catch all your current sports content. Also going to change up the format there. That's not for this show, but want to change up some things and get with the current ways. Remember the website again, like I said, it's ndscsports.com. Thank you everybody for continuing to log on. It's been 14 years. I don't know what happened to the time. All right, so to the show. Monday, January 20th, 2025 was the inauguration of Donald J. Trump as the 47th President of the United States. Mother Nature had a fight with somebody up there. Somebody pissed Mother Nature off because it's been really cold lately. Ask the people in Houston, Texas, and Pensacola, and Destin, and New Orleans. Ask them how cold it's been. They've seen snow they've never seen before. Excuse me, so a crazy stat. The accumulation of snow in New Orleans, Louisiana, over the last 115 years still doesn't add up to the snow they got the other day. Man, that's snow. Anyway, it's been cold, and the cold weather, of course, forced a change for the second time in presidential history. The inauguration was to be held indoors. Temperatures too cold. If it was the old show, I would have said some other stuff, but I'm refraining myself. Anyway, it's the only way I can get that out. Anyway, and so it was held indoors. And first of all, guys, hey, I wouldn't want to be standing out there because it was cold down here in Tennessee. We saw single digits for a couple of days. They were wind chill below zero. So it worked out real nice. And for me, I was telling the coach and Lori that I enjoyed the, I don't enjoy is the right word. I thought the arena looked cool. Capitol Arena looked pretty cool for the setup. Because I was curious. So it's indoors. We're so used to seeing it outdoors. How does it look? So, Lori!
I'm here.
I'm going to you first.
Okay.
So tell me your thoughts about the inauguration, the setup. Did you like, I know you like Melania's outfit.
Oh, yes. It was right off the runways from France. Hideous. Hideous. The hat. I'm sorry. The hat.
They said it sent the message.
Yeah, I heard that, but I don't quite know what that message was.
She didn't want to be kissed.
Ah, but I did see him kiss her. I saw a picture. I'll be honest, I did not watch the inauguration. And I understand that a good portion of America did not as well because it was one of the lowest rated inaugurations. So, yeah, that's my thoughts were it was the biggest thing that I found interesting was that he did not put his hand on the Bible. And Melania stood there, and she looked like somebody said a priest from a horror movie, I believe it was. And I thought it fit. I
It
saw the picture.
it was I didn't watch it either. I won't lie. We respect the office of the presidency here. We're not going to attack, but we're still going to be honest. We can't promise you that we respect the man behind the resolute desk, but we do respect the office of the presidency here. Coach, indoor. Hey, I got a better. I know what the first question for you, Coach, is.
All right.
How's Sandra doing?
I think she's at that process of acceptance now. You know, there was the grieving, there was the anger, there was all that. Now it's the acceptance. I think as things get pointed out, what's going on, what the potential is, she's at that "I told you so" kind of attitude now. Like, you know, let's wait and see. You know, I told you so. This is happening. I knew it was gonna. I don't think it's going to stop her from getting pissed off, because that still happens. But I think she's in a better place than she was on election night.
I got to admit, Coach, that I am counting on pissing her off when I get there, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I can't see being finally being. I can't see myself finally being in her presence and not having the proper conversation to stir her juices up.
This is the proper conversation. So what do you think about Donald Trump? And then just sit back.
You know, the next thing I thought of after you said that, about 3 or 4 days later, Rena will be looking at me saying, "Okay, I think it's time to go." You set her off.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't
know?
take long.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I mean, you know, it was the thing with the hand on the Bible. You know, getting serious here. And again, trying to go with the theme we're talking about, folks. Growing up as kids, I would hope it happened to all of us. Growing up as kids, not really knowing about politics, you hear about the president of the United States. Who's the president of the United States? I'm 5 years old. I don't even know what you're saying. You're telling me about the president of the United States and about Congress and the House of Representatives and the Senate. I'm 5 or 6. But you remember because you heard it. And as you grew up like me, my dad, though never really into politics, always made sure to tell me about the respect of the office of the presidency of the United States. How high that office is, what that office means, what it means for the individual that sits in there, that represents us, the people. Not putting your hand on the Bible, first of all, I think it's a great disrespect to your predecessors, who, of course, follow protocol and put their hand on the Bible. But I'm going to tell you, Coach, what I noticed on the replay, obviously, because I did not watch it live. And I played it a couple of times to see it, to confirm it to myself. I'm not saying I'm right, people. It's just me. If you look at it, watch Melania. Her body language, you would think as you are getting ready to, I'm holding a book you're about to put your hand on, Coach. I'm going to have to prepare myself, right? Some kind of weight, right? It doesn't matter it's going to be heavier than it was 2 seconds ago before you put your hand there. If you just put it regular weight. She never shifted. She never made a move. It's like this was pre-planned. And she knew it, which wouldn't be a surprise. We're not talking bad, okay, folks? Just making an observation. How do you feel about that, Coach?
You know, it certainly was a curiosity, you know, given that his supporters from the evangelicals, you know, they definitely threw everything behind him. You would think that it wouldn't matter to him. It's not like he gives a shit about the Bible or about any oath that he takes. So why not just go through with putting your hand on the Bible, assuring your followers that, you know, you are the chosen one. You know, I just didn't understand his logic there not to do it. You know, maybe subliminal messaging, you know, letting people know that he has no intentions on standing up for this oath. Maybe later can say, hey, I didn't really swear an oath because I didn't put my hand on the Bible, plausible denials. You know, I don't really know. To me, it just didn't make any sense because the oath is irrelevant to him anyways.
Okay, how about, again, just an observation. But before I make the observation, Donald Trump has always been the kind of guy, the kind of man that, you know, when he says something, when he's doing something, when he tells you when he's talking, there's intent behind it. Okay, like people are saying right now, you can call this guy all liar you want, but give him credit for what he's done his first week because he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. As far as the immigration part, we don't know what he can do legally. What he's going to, that doesn't matter right now. He's doing what those on the immigration. So anyway, my thing is, what does it mean? What it's got to mean something. Obviously, it's a fucking blatant disrespect. Okay, that whoever don't, I'm not gonna go the old show way. Figure it out. You gotta put your hand on the Bible. How do you talk Christian God and all this, and your event, and you don't put your hand on the Bible? I think there's some kind of meaning. You said subliminal message. I think there's some kind of meaning behind it, Coach. I think there's some kind of meaning behind it. We won't know what it is yet until Donald Trump decides to tell us.
You won't know then either.
Very good.
Regardless of what he says.
I like that, Coach. No, because you're right. You really won't.
You won't know.
But, you know, this is where we are. The deed is done. Donald Trump's the president. Yeah, we all hope and pray that. Oh, here's the other thing about the inauguration. Okay. The pastor. This woman's up there in the house of God. And all she's saying is, I'll paraphrase, Mr. President, please, you know, have mercy on the people that are scared out there. The LGBTQ community, illegal immigrants, transgender. They really are. I mean, I don't know them, okay? But damn it, I've been accused of a lot of shit in my life. But I don't have that kind of heart to just say, fuck them. To just ignore them. I can't do that. I don't see how people can, but yet after she speaks, what does he do, Coach? He goes on a rant. Said she's a what, a leftist, a loony leftist something Trump hater, and you watch his supporters eat it up, and I'm like, at what point? What is it? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But but for the most part, listen, it went off without a hitch. There was no violence. There was no bad protests. So Democrats showed some class, but don't forget, Dems, you got your ass kicked. You got your ass kicked. You got your ass handed to you. One thing that we want to see right now is, I want to see, Lori keeps getting kicked out. The link is above you, Lori. I'll send it to her again. We're seeing if Lori could get back in. But anyway, that's the inauguration, people. It's done. It's here. Week 1 is done. We're gonna get into our. I can't even believe I did that. You know what? It's like I forgot how to use the studio. Trump's inauguration. We're talking about Trump's inauguration. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we're done talking about Trump's inauguration. January 6th, pardons and commutations. Now, I hope I don't go old show school. However, one of the phrases now that I'm using on social media, guys, is accept. I have it on a document so I could just copy and paste it instead of typing it all the time. Except that if this were Biden, you wouldn't say this bullshit. That is all. Listen. First of all, Coach, the pardons, the preemptive pardons by Joe Biden, yeah, controversial, right? One, because when has it been done in recent American history? When has it had to be done? But he did it for a reason. Look, I'm a badass, Coach. I'm a badass. You want to fight? And I got news for you. You hit me one time, Glenn Dowdy, I'm in deep trouble. Man, my body's so brittle and broken, I'm going to fall on my ass and hope to God you don't stomp me to death. But if I get my hands on you, I'm going to eat your ass alive, or I'm going to try. Because I'm a badass, and you go out without a fight. But if I commit a crime against you, I truly harm you, and then look you in the face as the police get there to arrest me and tell them, I did none of the things this man just accused me of. Well, you're the first person looking at me like, the fuck are you talking about, dude? Before they showed up, me and you tore this fucking place apart. You tried to kill me. I did no such thing. And then the cops look at me and say, I believe you, Mr. Garcia. Have a nice night. Good night, Mr. Dowdy. Okay, you're thinking like, what the fuck just happened here? This is where we live now. Because anybody, Coach, anybody, the pardons, he had to do it. If I threaten you over and over, and I'm sorry, I got off track. If I threaten you over and over again, or you threaten me over and over again, no matter how badass I am, I got to start taking those threats seriously, right? At least I better think about it, because you might mean it. You're a guy who's armed. I live down the street from you. And I keep telling you, I wish you would come over with that shit. But now you got to believe it. So why are you not going to do preemptive pardons when all Trump was doing and the Republicans was, as soon as Trump comes back, we're going to go after these people? What's the problem with that?
I excuse me, I don't see a problem with it. And certainly there's a necessity in this case for it. The controversy over it is, to me, it's kind of irrelevant in that when Trump was president in his first term, the people that he pardoned that were noteworthy of pardoning were all these felons that basically had a level of corruption into his being elected or what he was doing once he was elected. This was a very corrupt group of people, and he pardoned them all with no shame whatsoever. So for Biden to pardon people that were otherwise doing their job in the pursuit of justice, and to suggest that if you don't give them a pardon that they become targets, they will become targets. We know this already. We know what Donald Trump is about. We know that he's going to turn the DOJ. He's already done it. One of his orders was to investigate the investigators, if you will. So they already planned to go after that. Now, what they have been kind of hamstringed with is the fact that there is this blanket pardon on a lot of those individuals, and so they can't be prosecuted for anything that they're accused of. But I think it's a new day and age. I think this is going to be the start of what happens. So Trump, I'm sure when he comes to the end of his 4-year term, he's going to pardon as many corrupt individuals as they see fit. It's just, I think it's going to become commonplace.
And we're going to get more into that, into possible consequences, uh, the thoughts in people's minds. Unfortunately, a shooting here, 45 minutes from me in Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee. Uh, the shooter kills one, injures another, turns the gun on himself. It's crazy. Lori, when I he told us, okay, he told us the pardons, Lori. But you remember Republicans when they started talking about, well, what about the violent offenders, those that attacked? Oh no, you're not gonna do that. You know? And I mean, some of the guys, Lori, were up on the screen, and the women were on the screen saying, like, "Are you serious? That's ridiculous." He said, "He pardoned them all, Lori."
Oh, please. I saw, well, we can take them
Excuse me, pardon commuted sentences. Yeah.
we can take them case by case of the people who said Tim Bondi, the new attorney general. He had every intention of taking it case by case. Vance said, oh, Trump would never pardon everybody. And Trump himself, his reasoning was, it's too cumbersome. Just too cumbersome to do it. Now, as far as we go back to Biden, it's very interesting because I had a conversation where a friend of mine had posted something regarding the pardons. And of course, the majority of people seem to be very disturbed by it. And somebody came on her page and right away deflected and turned it around to say, well, look what Biden did. It's not the same. It's not anywhere near the equivalent. Yeah. The people with Biden, people with Biden, that was a form of protection. These people, not all of them, but a good portion of them that are serving time were very violent, and they have past histories of violence. We have one man who's a child pornographer, another man who he had a website where he sold everything that it could be black market, including drugs. And he had a murder for hire of his business partners. And then there's the man with the federal gun charges who already has been arrested.
Rearrested.
Now, and we're going to see more of that. And the problem to me is that when all the senators or House representatives, mainly the House of Representatives, what I saw, they want to ignore it. They want to say, well, I haven't read it. Rick Scott, I haven't looked into this. That was his reply. And when we look at the House Speaker, he came around and said, we want to let bygones be bygones and look to the future. And right after that, he turned around and said, yeah, but you know what we want to do? We want to investigate the people who started this investigation to begin with, the January 6th towards Trump. There's something very wrong with our system when we can't discern, a president who cannot discern, because it's too cumbersome for him to go through 1,500 cases himself when he could very easily assign it to somebody else. When we can't discern, we've lost something. When we are letting these type of criminals out onto the street, we've lost something. When I see people on TV being asked if they all be pardoned, and some of them turn around and say, absolutely, we've lost decency, common decency in this country. And the thing that we have to get back to that. And I will say there are a lot of people who now are realizing, hey, maybe we made a mistake in the general public who still have moral values are realizing that this was wrong. And I even saw a woman today who she was convicted and she didn't serve a long time and she didn't do anything violent. She refused to accept the pardon because she knew what she did is wrong.
Uh, hey, Coach. New show name, new show format, and any thought of Lori having nothing to say just went out the window.
You know, the way I see like the excessive amount of pardons is that for the last 4 years, the messaging that goes on in the conservative arena has downplayed and in many ways has manipulated the history account of what happened on January 6th. And so when you get in an interview with someone like that and they say, of course, everybody should be pardoned, it's because they've been messaged to believe that no one did anything wrong. It was a peaceful protest, and that it really was the Biden administration targeting the adversaries of the Democratic left and this. That's the messaging that they've gotten, and they don't know any different. They really don't know any different because no one is going out there and looking at both sides and trying to measure somewhere in the middle where that truth is. And I think that's kind of part of the problem right now, is that you're dealing with really the divided aspect of the nation comes down to what channel do you tune into, and your message is entirely different.
And that's a very good point, Glenn. I saw somebody on TV who was shown pictures of cops who had been beaten. And the guy said, I never saw those before.
Right.
My news source does not provide that. Where did that come from?
Exactly. And when you look at the news source for, say, a left basis, it's all you see. It's all you see. You see them, with battering rams, smashing in windows. You see them taking the shields from the officers and using them as weapons. This is what's been ingrained in the other side. And so you have two very polar opposite perspectives. The question of the pardons versus the commutations has to do with the level of violence, right? So most of those 1,500 or 1,600 that were pardoned were not the most violent actors in that day. The commutations are the ones. There's like 14 commutations, and those are the ones that were abusive towards the police, that were found guilty of that a level of assault.
Yep. Yep.
So what essentially the pardon does, the pardon excuses everything they've done and leaves no trace on their record. There is no felony conviction on their record after a pardon. With commutation, what it generally is meant to do is reduce your sentence. So you're still a convicted felon. All the laws still apply to you once you're out of jail as a convicted felon. But it's to reduce the amount of time you've been given, and to say that you didn't deserve 14-year sentence. Now, the problem is that he's commuting the sentences right out the gate, that they're all going to be excused from prison. And it's not really a reduction in sentence as much as it's throwing out the sentence, and you're still kind of hung up on the fact that you're a felon. But that's only 14 people that they're dealing with there. But we got to get past it. I mean, ultimately, we got to get past it because it happened. We know it happened. It's down in history that it will always be that way. This is one of the reasons why I believe that the House is going to investigate the investigators. It's for a news cycle. It's to go ahead.
Well, one of the things I saw is that, at least in two cases, and I think we're going to see it going forward, Beryl Howell is the judge in these two cases that I'm referring to. And she said that, or he said that she would not do without prejudice with this. In other words, these people can still be investigated in the future for the same crime. Yes, she's releasing them from prison, but not without prejudice. And that's very interesting to me.
Hey, I got one for you guys. This is how good Donald Trump is. And I'm sorry, I got to say it. This is how bad the brain dead is. So didn't we hear for 4 years, how do they say, ad nauseum, that the January 6th protests gone really bad? I'll be nice about it. Protests gone really, really, really bad. They want, I should say first that make no mistake that what Donald Trump wants to do is erase history. I mean, he literally would love it if the courts would then turn around and say, oh my God, we're overturning everything. It never happened. It was all a lie. First and foremost, here is people lie, right? Like we're human, we lie. Here's what doesn't lie. Your eyes never lie to you. You can turn it into a lie by telling someone what you saw, which wasn't exactly what you saw. But when you initially saw it, you saw the truth. We saw it live on TV. I don't need, me personally, and I know I'm speaking for my co-host here, we don't need to read an article about it. We don't need to hear anyone's opinion about what happened January 20th, 2021. It was live on TV. And here's where I'm going to get you guys, or them, the brain dead. Didn't Trump and the right constantly remind us that it was a setup? BLM, Antifa, the FBI, other bad actors. Well, by the way, Trump wasn't a fool. He just laughed in all your faces. Because why, if it was actually BLM, Antifa, and FBI, why would he have pardoned them? He wouldn't have pardoned them. He pardoned them because they did for him. Think about it as human beings. My dad once told me, there's two things we need as human beings. We need to be loved. We need to feel wanted. And that's basically right. We all want to be loved and feel wanted. Well, Donald Trump, could you imagine thousands of people coming to your defense on a lie you told? They swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. And they came from all the way across the country, from everywhere, to try to overturn an election. You imagine what that does to a person's ego? So, of course, Donald Trump, he told us he was going to pardon them all and commute sentences. They did the greatest thing in the world you could do for someone. They literally gave their lives and their souls and their minds and their hearts for him. So in his mind, he's like, I gotta, these are my people. I gotta set them free. Mind you, I do want to say well, let me not go old show style. I gotta fight that boy. Sometimes I just want to talk shit. Here's another fact that cannot, I don't want to call it a fact. Here's my opinion, strong opinion, that a lot of people share. For all you people out there that said the January 6th was a sham, it was bullshit, it was a witch hunt, it's a persecution, it's a political persecution, and the Department of Justice weaponized and all this shit. You wouldn't say any of that bullshit if they were going after Joe Biden and the Democrats. I'm not saying that if they were going after Joe Biden and the Democrats, that the Democrats wouldn't be stupid enough to do what the Republicans did, and that tens of millions of Americans could get brainwashed. But that hasn't happened on the Democratic side yet. So let's not, it did happen. It happened before our eyes.
We have one hope here, Ralph. We have the hope.
It's a background, Randy.
What?
No, my friend is asking me, where are you? I'm in my living room in my new house, Randy. Wait till you see the new house. 8,000 square feet, fucking 7 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 4 half baths. I got a mini golf course. I got a shooting range. You should see this fucking place. Look at it behind me. I'm sorry, Laura. Go ahead.
The one thing that I feel is a positive and what could save part of this is the justice system. In that, like I said, the Honorable Howell has said And this made a big story. I believe it was the Wall Street Journal or Washington Post, one of the two, where there's a big statement. She made a lot of comments about what has been done and how wrong it is, and that is it is all based on the lie that the election was stolen, and she refuses to accept refuses to accept the revisionist theories that are being put forward. Now, my hope is, and I do not know how many of the federal judges have been part of the cases involved. My hope is going forward. When you say without prejudice, that gives them an out. With prejudice, it's going to be in the history books. It's going to remain on the records. That is my hope. Maybe people seeing what he did and realizing how wrong it was, and also to see people like Enrico Tarrio go on Rogan's show and swear retribution, and other people like the shaman who's going out to get more effing guns, and others who are out set to go against the system because they were wronged. Well, maybe our justice system is one of those stopgaps, and maybe people will start seeing, maybe, because it's great to see too that the Fraternal Order of Police and another organization who did back Trump were very upset by this decision. After all,
yeah, I don't want to hear that about the fraternal. You got what you voted for, okay? Shut up. You listen. You riled up the coach.
Trying to bring unity here, guys. That's our new show's all about. That's my whole purpose of this. I'm with the two.
I think there's a little perspective to look at with regards to the people that you're talking about, Lori, that are making comments now that they've been pardoned or commuted. Is that, let's not forget this people from the radical side of the right wing. These are the extremists. That's why they were there in the first place. I don't think they're representative of the overall group of conservatives that are out there. I think they're representative of the extreme right wing, say, people. Be
very good, coach.
With words, very good, so it's a microcosm. It's a very small group of people of the right wing, and of course they're going to say stupid, asinine things. That's kind of why they're considered who they are. What kind of retribution can the Proud Boys do? Who knows? Whatever. I don't think it really matters anything. I think I'm going to use individuals are going to be, put aside, not put on a shelf.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I still think this is one of the biggest issues now that he's in office. I think that there's a big wake-up call for people who believe in law and order, for police who may have voted for him, because they can be the ones who get hurt next time around. And I really do believe this is going to be one of the hugest things that upsets and has people turn on him.
And I'm glad you said that, Lori, because first and foremost, Randolph Spitzer, that's my childhood friend, Randy. As a matter of fact, Randy, it's time to tell you thank you again. Lori, Coach, Randolph Spitzer is my childhood friend. I met him when we were 7 years old, about 7 years old. He kicked my ass. I tried to start a fight with him. He kicked my ass. And we have been friends ever since. He is the reason why my home, sweet home, is Tennessee. So, Randy, always thank you for the life I have. For if it wasn't for you being from Tennessee and your family, I wouldn't be here now. I might not be alive. Stop it. Stop it. He hates that. But he put this up. Randy, we talked about this. One of those already has gotten arrested on weapons charges, which takes me going, Lori, you were kind of in that area, to what I think is a dark possibility. We have seen what the human mind makes the human do. Mass shootings. We can't even imagine, people, what it is like to be in Gaza, to be these people that are living amongst rubble, never knowing, is this the moment? Am I 2 minutes away from getting bombed and killed? We don't know that kind of suffering, okay? What we do know in here in America is violence, radical violence, extreme violence. And here's what I'm concerned about. Enrique, you mentioned it, Lori. Enrique Tarrio, Proud Boys leader. They said former Proud Boys leader. How the hell is he former? It's still the Proud Boys.
And he denounced that comment.
Okay. I really believe that. Think about this. He gets out. What show does he go on? On Mr. Fucking Conspiracy Theorist, though, right? I'm not saying his name. He talks about basic retribution. They need to feel the heat. Think about this. Those people were in prison. The ones who got their sentences commuted. The one the coach was talking about. The violent ones that Lori talked about. Tarrio got 20-something years. Damn. That's the shortest 20-something year sentence in history, right? The guy's out. He wants retribution. He's a smarter guy, right? Leader of a group. They have to organize. You have to treat it like a business. We've watched extremists. The guy a couple of years ago at the federal post office in Ohio, I believe it was, he wanted to blow that shit up. People who, how do we know if this doesn't open a Pandora's box for people to all of a sudden, Coach, Coach, there's got to be some guys out there right now. They've had plots and plans. Like you think because there's been 800 mass shootings, 801, 2, 3, 4, 5 ain't out there plotting? Of course they are. Now they have a green light, or at least the assumption. People, I didn't say that Trump said this, okay? What I'm saying is, if I am a MAGA, dark MAGA, and I had plans to do some damage in the name of the president, why wouldn't I feel confident, Coach, that I could do it and get away with it?
Well, I think that is one of the motivations of giving the pardons, is that Trump is sending a message to his supporters and certainly his radical base supporters that there's a certain amount of protection that'll be provided to you. Now, whether he's calling for violence now or calls for it later remains to be seen. But I do think that it is something that there's a group somewhere planning something that feels like Trump's got their back. And if they feel like they're doing it for the sake of, Donald Trump and justice and righteousness, that somehow he'll come to their aid and forgive them or pardon them. There's no reason for them not to believe that at this point. I mean, he pardoned all these other individuals. They all came from somewhere. I'm sure that there's people out there that think that. I mean, just when he was first elected, you see what went on with the rallies and the, Jews will not replace us march and all that kind of stuff. Because of the dog whistling that goes on, because of the fact that he does send a message to these groups by his actions, by his words. And as much as people excuse it, the normal people will excuse it and say, oh, well, he doesn't really mean it. The other people know that he means it and have proven that he means it. And so there's groups out there waiting to do something. We'll have to wait and see what the moves are that they're going to make, But
here's my thoughts. Can I just say, can you imagine having been on one of those juries? How many? There's 9 jurors to a panel. I'm not sure if that's the case for what went on in DC.
9, you're right, Lori. How scared they must be.
Exactly. I know that I heard that the other leader, not the Proud Boys, Oh,
Oh yeah, Stephen Rose, Oath Keeper,
yeah,
Stephen Rose.
yeah, Oath Keepers. His son, I saw him on TV the other night. He's scared to death because he turned his father in. How
Mm.
about that? Are they going to go after the people who turned them in? I mean,
That's the
there's
idea.
got to be
That's the idea.
1,500 trials, right? Or
Right.
close to that.
Yeah, around there.
Multiply that by 9 people, and possibly the lawyers, the prosecutors, the judges. There's a lot of people who are in danger now because of this.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Laurie, is that, those that are, on the wrong side of it at this point are certainly targets. And maybe that's part of that retribution comment, is that they're going to go after the people that prosecuted them and imprisoned them. Nothing can be ruled out. I mean, let's be realistic. We're talking about an insurrection where they tried to overthrow the government. So nothing, I think, can be ruled out. The potential for them to become violent, the potential for them to seek retribution, to make other people's lives miserable is current.
And scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. And again, for everyone out there who will want to say they had it coming, or he has a right, or he wouldn't say that bullshit if the shoe was on the other foot. That's as easy as I'm going to keep repeating it for the next 4 years. You wouldn't say that bullshit if this was Biden or a Democrat. You wouldn't have any problem with any of it. And this is the thing that amazes me the most. Man literally has millions of people worshiping at his feet. But listen, here's where we are. Donald Trump's the president of the United States. The Republicans have the House, and the Republicans have the Senate. Now, before we move on away from excuse me. Yeah. Oh, as I've been putting it, they have the House, the Senate, the POTUS, and the SCOTUS. Hey, that's the quadfecta.
Yeah.
You have it all. So before we move on, we'll see what happens with these pardons and stuff like that. Lori brought up something the other day that was done. They pulled down the what was it, Lori? The reproductive site went offline.
Yes, they pulled the reproductive site offline. And not just that, it has to do with all women's health issues, from cervical cancer to breast cancer treatments for health. It's gone. It's just gone.
Shut down the NIH research, all this. He shut it all down.
One of the things that I read about that is that it's not uncommon when a new administration comes in to shut down particular websites associated with the government and recreate them, giving them their own flavor, their own taste, their own style, their own message, if you will. So these are sites that might be down right now because they're not the message that the administration wants. But as they come back online, I think we'll have a clear idea of what kind of messaging they're trying to put out there.
Yes, and there have been Andy Biggs. He's in the House, right? He has introduced some bills. One of them is they're going to he wants to see it required that anybody who has an abortion has got to have an ultrasound, and they have got to see pictures of the ultrasound. You know what that's meant to do, right? That's meant to intimidate women, right? That's one of the things. He's got a whole bunch of them. And right now, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I know it sent me what I even looked. It's number 7, bill number 7. Why I even looked this up is because I saw a meme that said he's going to require women to, his bills want to require women to get the signatures of the men who are involved in their pregnancies. I couldn't find that. What I found was he's got some nice little wording saying that they're going to enshrine the rights of women to take care of their own bodies. But you have to read between the lines. And they're going after even more abortion, rights within the states that, of course, allow it now.
But let's think about it, Coach. So what you just said right there, yeah, it's normal. It's normal to take down the site, update the site, shut down a department or two. Okay, that not this way. And by the way, remember that we talked about off camera. We talked about Project 2025 and not bringing that up unless elements of Project 2025 stuff. We may have to have that show real soon. Yeah. It's already happening.
It's pretty happening. It's pretty apparent. Yeah.
And you worry because my concern is this. I'm not even going to blame these guys, okay? Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. This is a guy who could look at you and throw $100 million at your feet and walk away, and it won't even faze him. Won't even faze him. Why wouldn't a guy like this want all the power in the world? They're talking about the fact that Elon Musk might be making himself a little too popular in front of Trump, and that he might lose favor with Trump. You know why I say he won't?
Too much
money.
Got all the money.
Got all the money.
Trump don't want to lose that. Oh, I'm sure he's going to tell him, yo, you need to tame your ass down and shut up a little bit. But he doesn't want to get no. So I'm just worried about what the bigger plan might be.
Here's the big plan, as far as I can tell. All right.
I'll let you say it, Coach.
They want to plunder the American taxpayer. Okay. So you have a certain amount of tax revenue. I'll use Medicare as an example here, right? They're all crazy about Medicare. However, when they're given opportunities to work to control the costs of things for healthcare, they don't. They allow the costs to stay high. They're already making plans to do away with discussions on bringing any other medications down through the Medicare process of negotiating with Big Pharma, because that's taxpayer dollars. Medicare is funded by your tax dollars. So they have this big savings account in their mind, and the only way to get it into their pocket is to get it into the private sector. You have to get it into the private sector, whether it's through the cost of medications, insurance companies, all these types of things where the money can get out of the government hand and into the private sector. And that's their intention. Their intention is to plunder. That's why they don't care about the ceiling, the debt ceiling anymore. They don't want a debt ceiling because they want to be able to run up, a debt. Donald Trump is famous for this. He'll run a business into extreme debt and then bankrupt and walk away, wiping his hands clean of that business. They're going to do the same exact thing to the United States government.
And you never have enough money, right? Never have enough power.
No.
Now, I talk about the lottery, right? And I'm like, damn, I just want a little piece, right? I'm not greedy. I just want a little. They want the whole pie, man. The whole pie.
Oh, now we got cryptocurrency for Trump.
Yeah, that's already
tanked.
All right.
It's tanked?
What?
It's on its way down already. All his monies has been going down since the inauguration. Businesses has gone down.
Okay, so what is that a reflection of, Glenn?
I think ultimately it's a reflection of reality. I think that people understand that there's no real value in investing in Donald Trump. His social media platform is basically irrelevant, especially now that he has the media platform itself. Everybody's going to be listening on all the channels of what Donald Trump has to say when he comes out and has something to say. He's going to get a lot more coverage than he's going to get off of his rants on Truth Social. So that kind of loses its value there. The crypto is never a good idea, regardless of who you are. Crypto's a con. Okay, it's not real money. You can't do anything with it other than exchange it for other types of things. So it's a very volatile thing. If you're not in at the beginnings where it is on its way up, then once it's up, it can only go down. And ultimately that's what crypto has always done. It's always crashed. It's not like the stock market where you can see fluctuations up and down, but yet growth over the long term. Crypto's not like that. Crypto's a all or nothing kind of scenario.
Yeah, more like nothing, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Because
more
once
like
this goes away, another crypto will come up. There'll be another Bitcoin. There'll be something. It's constantly someone's generating new ideas of crypto.
All right. So, what would a new president? What would a new presidency be without EOs or executive orders? And yes, Donald Trump wants to do the usual. He wants to get back to the wall. Not sure how that's going to work. Drill, baby, drill. We kind of drilling pretty good right now, but he wants to drill, baby, drill. But the important ones, one which was struck down by a federal judge today, which was to end birthright citizenship. When I say that, Coach, I pretty much don't have a lot of words because isn't that part of the Constitution? You can't do that.
Yeah, it's actually it's the 14th Amendment of the Constitution that basically highlights that anybody born on American soil is considered a U.S. citizen. There's no other way around it. It's kind of exactly the way it's written, and the only way to get around it would be to change the amendment itself, and that's beyond an act of Congress. That's an act of a nation to change the amendment. That's got to go through all the states as well. So nothing's going to change there. It'll be challenged, and it has been, and of course that'll be appealed, and at some point it could end up in the Supreme Court. Now we know about precedent; doesn't matter to the Supreme Court, but there are some.
No, not at all.
There are some precedents of other earlier decisions throughout the years that has upheld the idea of the birthright. Now,
Enshrined it, not just upheld it, enshrined it.
well, and then there's other ones like Dred Scott that went in the other direction, right? Put it into the scope of things. What the whole idea of the birthright citizenship is that it's a child born to illegal immigrants in America. So you have a set of parents that are now here illegally, and yet the child is born in America during that time. That's where that birthright comes from. So the argument is going to be there's a line within the 14th Amendment about the subject to jurisdiction. And subject to jurisdiction simply means that you have an allegiance to the United States and no other country. And so that's where a lot of the talk has been on the extreme conservative right end, is that they don't have they're not subject to the jurisdiction in the United States, and therefore they're not citizens. That's their argument. It's a very weak argument. I don't think it really has any legs to stand on. But given the scope of what we've seen with the judicial system, one judge says one thing, another judge says something entirely different, and it leads its way up to the Supreme Court. So this eventually will become a Supreme Court issue. I think they're gonna push it as far as they can with that. If they can end birthright citizenship, what does that mean? Because how do you deport somebody to a country they've never even been to? It's not like they have citizenship anywhere else. That's kind of the catch there, is that they're not from the country that their parents are from. And so it kind of leaves a lot of problems there.
And again, the fact that you could do that, he's opened it up with they raid schools, churches.
There's no citizenship for these people then. That's the whole thing.
Well,
Who
there
are
is
they?
right now. There is right
No,
now as
there
as a
is,
child is born.
but yeah, but that's one of the reasons that the judge put a hold on it. It's a hold right now because there are children that are being born now, right now,
Mhm.
and they'll have no citizenship if they acknowledge this as, his executive order as being valid.
And then what do you do? I mean, are you going to have, ICE standing at the hospital waiting for the illegal immigrants to come in and give birth so you can throw them all out at the same time? I mean, how far are we going to take these kinds of actions? You know, um, the thing is, there's a lot of the problem is people don't understand. I think in general, and certainly Donald Trump's followers don't understand the complexities of immigration and migration and asylum seekers and the dreamers and all these different. To them, it's one big thing. It's illegal aliens. That's all they hear when they hear these numbers and these words. It doesn't mean anything to them in terms of any rights of those individuals. You have migrants. Migrants come over into this country every year. They can get a visa and be here for it's an agricultural visa. They're here for 8 months of the year, or up to 8 months of the year, and they're here legally. They're migrant workers. They're here legally on a visa. No different than the H-1 visas that Elon Musk gets to have his tech guys come over. It's all the same concept. They're here to work for a duration or for a company, and that's it. So you have the migrants. You even have something like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States. All right. And they're U.S. citizens, but they're considered migrants, internal migrants, when they leave the island and come to the United States mainland. They're migrating to the mainland. That's all that means. Migrant is somebody that comes from another country, is either here permanently because they're a citizen, or they're here temporarily. Asylum seekers, a whole other issue, right? They did an executive order on the asylum seekers that if they're caught in between the two ports, they can be ejected. They're not going to be allowed to claim asylum. Asylum has to happen on this side or the other side of the border, if you will. If you're in Mexico, for example, you have to remain in Mexico and seek asylum through the channels that are allowed in the United States before you actually try to cross the border. That asylum has to be granted. A lot of these things are okay. I mean, we have to protect our borders. There's no question about it. And so to keep illegal immigrants out of the country, I don't care if they build a wall that reaches up to the moon. I don't really care about that. It's jobs as far as I see it. People are going to have jobs to build a wall. Big deal. The question comes down to, what do we do internally? What are we doing internally with the people that are here? How are we going to treat the illegal immigrants? They've already done away with the whole idea of trying to get the families back together. I don't know if you know that one of the executive orders was to abolish that section of the immigration where they were trying to get parents back with their children. They're no longer trying to do that as of Donald Trump's signature on that executive order the other day. So they definitely are messaging that, but again, that's because they're pandering to a base that is uninformed, misinformed, and somewhat biased, if not racist. So this is part of their agenda, but it's a bigger agenda when it comes to Project 2025, when it comes to immigration, it comes to things like that. These are agendas that are held by some pretty high influential groups in the GOP and across the conservative field. So it'll be interesting, but it's a question of what's going to get called out, what's going to get challenged. A lot of what Donald Trump's going to do is going to get challenged in courts. So the effectiveness, I don't think, is really the concern. I think that this is all, again, it's all for the news cycle. They're out there to gain access to the money that the United States government has and finding ways to get it out of the United States hands and into the private sector. That's what they're trying to do.
So, again, talking executive orders, and there's been some key policy changes. And again, give Donald Trump credit where credit is due, whether you like it or not. He has spent his first week concentrating on immigration. He's got some other things in the fire, so to speak, but he is ramping up his campaign. And we've said it before, people. Please, brain dead, don't say something stupid like somebody likes illegal aliens, okay? The only people that like illegal aliens in America are other illegal aliens because we don't want them here. Nobody wants them here. And if they're criminals, get them the fuck out of here even faster. We don't have a problem with that. It's the measures that are going to be taken. Nobody has a problem with that. For example, key policy changes. Ordering the expansion of expedited removal, which allows the U.S. to deport someone without a court hearing to the maximum permitted under federal law, in parentheses, an extent to which it has never been used before. So U.S. officials will be authorized to arrest someone accused now, just accused of entering the country without inspection. Anyone inside of the U.S. Is subject to the expedited removal if they believe a person has been blah, 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 blah. Also, here's a good one. Requiring all non-citizens to register and present their fingerprints to the U.S. government under a rarely used provision of U.S. law, and declaring that all those who have not registered will be subject to criminal penalties. This requirement can be very difficult to meet for immigrants who entered the U.S. without authorization, thus opening the door for them to be targeted for arrest and criminal prosecution. You gotta find ways to implement it, right, Coach?
Yeah, that's one of those big brother moments, right? Like they want everybody to be registered, okay, and fingerprints on file so that when you're caught, if you're caught unregistered, you are now kicked out of the country.
Yeah.
So it's part of their narrowing down the vetting process and saying, well, if you don't have the registration card and you can't prove your citizenship or your rights to be here, then you're going to be kicked out. I don't care personally. I really don't care. I think that, again, it's whatever process they're going to go through, they have to try to figure it out, right? So there's no way in hell they're going to get rid of the illegal immigrants in America. It's just it's physically impossible, and the pushback is going to be tremendous because along the border states, whether they bitch about it or not, they play a vital role in the economies of those states, and therein lies the catch-22. Is like they want to complain about the immigrants and the migrants and the illegal immigrants, but they're vital to the American economy on many levels. And that's kind of part of why you got to get it down to the real nitty gritty. If they're here illegally, they're caught crossing illegally, they've done something to bring attention to themselves, committed a crime and found to be an illegal, and we can find a way to get these people out of the country, that's fine. But don't turn it into this. Every immigrant is an illegal immigrant. Every migrant is an illegal immigrant. Every asylum seeker is an illegal immigrant. It's not how it is. It's not. But in some people's minds, that's that umbrella thing that if they're a foreigner, they're illegal and get them the fuck out.
The picture's been painted. So
yeah, and I wonder how much Big Brother is going to take away green cards and makes people afraid that way.
That either they revoke green cards, which I think they can do if you're committing a violating any part of the law, your green card can be revoked and you can be kicked out of the country. That's a fact already. A lot of what they're building on, just so you know, a lot of what they're building on are existing laws. They're just going to use those laws that are otherwise haven't been put to use. They haven't been abused, if you will, to the extent that it allows them to do it. So there's a lot of existing laws already. If you're found to be an illegal immigrant, you can be kicked out of the country. It doesn't always happen. There are sanctuary cities where people aren't looking at immigration as a question anymore. You don't have to provide necessarily proof of citizenship to get a job anymore. These types of things go on in certain places. But ultimately, I think that again, they're using laws and will continue to find even more applications of the laws to attack immigrants because again, it's good for the news cycle. It's not good for the economy so much, but it's good for the news cycle. And that's what I think is happening. I think we're going to continue to see it happening, that Donald Trump is going to try to steer the news cycle. And what's really important is going to be gone in unreported or less socially viable in terms of a message. So they're going to get away with a lot of shit behind the scenes that we don't really know what they're up to.
So, immigration, it's big, it's huge. It is the engine that runs this Republican machine that is in control now. And Coach, you did a great job there, right? Many perceptions about immigration. When somebody uses the word immigrant or what, everybody just has a perception of what they've been told. One of the things that we want to do, and we weren't even going to go into a new format, but we're going to do that now. We're going to practice a little new format here. Immigration, people. So what's immigration? Immigration laws. U.S. immigration law is based on the following principles: the reunification of families, admitting immigrants with skills that are valuable to the U.S. economy, humanitarian protections, and promoting diversity. That is the foundation of immigration law in the United States. And none of that is being practiced now. None of it. It is amazing how you could take this thing called immigration. I got another thing here. One person is granted an immigrant visa or receives certain other eligible protections such as asylum, you were talking, Coach, refugee status. They can apply to become a lawful permanent resident. And all of that is now being literally turned on its head. He wants to take the immigration laws that are already basically set in stone in America and change them. They're going into the history books to find archaic laws, old laws. This guy's already in that. He's already reached twice for laws that are hundreds of years old. All to do what? Coach, you said about the money. First and foremost, absolutely. Absolutely. The OJ's one said it all well. Money, the root of all evil. But isn't part of 2025, correct me if I'm wrong, to take control of the three branches of government, to literally eliminate how we do things normally, at least for the upper crust, the rich, the elite, so that a system can be built that permanently, you said something earlier, permanently benefits them while making the poor poorer. And those who aren't poor, they're going to make them poor. Because it's only about, so this whole immigration thing has been turned upside down. And as the shows go on, we're going to talk about that, people. We're going to know, what is immigration? What's good about it? What's bad about it? I have literally had to run for my life, not in any way like it must be for those literally running from their lives, violence in their countries. They can't imagine how that feels. I gotta go. I gotta leave. Imagine being in America, and be careful, we might get there. Imagine being in America and saying, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna be killed or raped or. And something you said, one of you said a little while ago, Coach, I think it was you. So the birthright citizens kids, where do they go?
Yeah.
Their parents were born in fucking like Colombia, in Bogota, Colombia. You're gonna send the fucking kids there? So it is amazing how polarized, how big this has become. When anybody, we're all taught in school, right? The United States was built on the backs of immigrants. It is immigrants that are in the field. It was an interview. I won't say what network, but I heard an interview today of a Mexican, honestly, this morning. The migrant program says he comes for 8 months, makes $16 an hour. $16 an hour ain't a lot of money here in the United States, folks, okay? And all of y'all making $16 an hour, you know that's not a lot. They asked him, is that good money to survive on? He said, the $16 I make every hour, he said, is the equivalent of what I would make in one day. So I make every hour, I make what I would make in one day in Mexico. Holy shit. Could you imagine? Could you imagine making $16, coach, in one day, and all of a sudden you're making 16 times 10?
Yeah. And that's very true about whether it's a Mexican or any other, migrant worker that comes to America for working, is that they take those jobs that are the least desirable, most demanding jobs, totally unfunded, not getting good pay. Those are jobs that even Americans on unemployment don't want that employment.
No,
right?
No.
And these people come over and they're happy to have that job. And it's a tremendous opportunity for them to provide for their families, to have a little bit of life when they go back from their job and go back to their home country. And they know now that they're going to be able to eat for the rest of the year because of the monies that they made in America. These things are stuff that Americans are so fucking spoiled over. They don't understand that. And again, this is part of that economy. These people pay taxes, by the way. It's not like, they're still paying taxes. They're paying Social Security tax. They're paying all these taxes.
Contributing to the economy.
The person, there's only a number of ways that you can be in America legally. Like, okay, you can be a U.S. citizen. That's a guarantee you're legally here, right? You could be on a visa. And that's what happens with migrant workers, whether they're working in big tech or they're working in agriculture. They're under a certain visa, and that allows them to come in, okay? Or you can be a refugee, which is somebody who sought asylum and has been granted asylum into the United States, has entered the United States as a refugee status. The other aspect is a resident alien card, which we know is called a green card, where you've immigrated to the United States. You're not a citizen, but you have applied to be able to be here legally beyond what visa maybe you entered onto, and now you're a resident of the United States. Everybody else is illegal. And so, if we could just say, okay, all these groups are okay. There's nothing wrong with any of these legal aspects to people being here on visas, people having resident alien cards. Migrant workers for sure are important to the economy. People, my wife, when she came over to this country, was a resident alien. She had a green card. She didn't become a citizen until sometime in her adult life. Anyways, we were together. I can't remember when, but it's been, probably 25, 30 years since she's gone through her citizenship. But she came over as a green card holder. That's how most immigrants start. They start, and then they can work their pathway to having a citizenship test and actually becoming citizens. So, when you look at those things, you have to acknowledge what you're pointing out, Ralph, is that these migrant workers that come to the United States, they serve that purpose, but they're also going home to their own country. They're not here to stay, and they don't want to stay. They're not here to become citizens. They're not here to even, some do stay, and now they become illegal because they've stayed longer than the visa allows, and now they're illegal aliens.
Right.
And they should be
their problem. Yep.
Right. And so whatever level of getting them back to their home country the United States government has to do, fine. That's the business of immigration, is to get them in here illegally,
Yeah. Now this guy, I love what he said. the interviewer asked, well, how does that work? You know, you're gone for 8 months. You get to be home with your family for 4 months. You know, how is it with your family for 4 months? And I loved his answer. He said, because of the money I make here, I'm able to go home for 4 months and be with my family. I don't have to work. I don't have to do anything. I mean, it's a boatload. It's a freaking mini lottery for these people. Like you said, Coach, $16 an hour. They're looking at it like, what did you say? We're going to pay you $16 an hour. What? And they're thinking, I'm going to work my ass off. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that. People don't want to do that. I have been with the scum of the earth. They don't want to do that shit. But, you know, again, it's a big topic. We'll continue. Yeah, Coach, go.
No. I just was distracted. My sister texted me, so
yeah.
I was.
No. And again, a big topic. We're going to talk about it more and more, folks, with the new format. We're going to go into topics deeper because what we want to do is, again, get people to talk. We've got, oh, wow, Jonathan Shelton. Oh, I owe this man a lot. Got me started in podcasting, radio, turned into a pro wrestling career. Hope all is well, Rob. So, Jonathan, you really are wrestling? I heard and I saw. I didn't know. Holy crap, Jonathan! Damn good to see you, buddy. Good guy. Good guy. This is where we are. What we want to do with the new format of the show again. Let's stop attacking each other, okay? We got enough name calling and enough bravado out there. We got to get to the issues. Democrats have got to figure out, you know what I'm making, hold on. Let me stop. Because that's a hell of a beginning for final thoughts, right? So why don't I just stop? And I do this and I ask, Lori, final thoughts.
Well, my final thoughts are, well, first of all, I don't know how close we're going to get to being able to be united, because there's always going to be issues here. There's going to be issues that we're going to disagree with. My final thoughts, and we were talking about immigration, was that we never covered the fact that there was clergy during the national, I don't know what they called it, but it was.
Lori, you sound like you're in a shell.
Oh, can you hear me?
That's better now.
Okay. They had I guess it was a national prayer service, and they had a number of clergy people who spoke. And you want to talk about speaking truth to power. We had, her name is Bishop Booty, and she's from the, I forget which
Lori's moving.
branch. What? Can you hear me or no?
Well, we hear there's a lot of background noise, so every time
Are you? Yeah.
I'm not moving. That's the weird part. I'm not moving.
Wow. Now you're coming in great.
Okay. Anyway, Bishop Booty spoke truth to power, and she begged for mercy for the children and the people who are scared in this country of these new immigration policies.
Yep.
And she spoke it beautifully. In my opinion, it was just a plea for mercy. And she has been bashed. And she has had many people who have wished her dead. I saw her on an interview last night. Yeah. She did not say there were death threats, but there are many people who wish her dead. And she said she had to do this because that's one of the tenets of her faith, to ask for mercy. And this is where I have a problem, where I know I cannot get past my ill feelings towards Trump, because he's turned around and villainized her. And he is demanding an apology. She will not give one because there's none warranted. I hold this woman in high Regards, high esteem. And I just wanted to acknowledge her in my final thoughts.
That is fantastic because you're right. Again, I'm going to repeat it. If she was saying that to a Democratic president, everyone defending Trump would be loving it. They would love her. Coach, final thoughts.
I get what Lori's saying with regards to, united. We're so far apart that it's going to be hard to see united. I think we have to kind of understand the definitions between united and unified, right? We're not going to be unified. There's no way that America can be unified. It doesn't happen. From the foundations of this country, we haven't been unified. Everybody's had different ulterior motives, different designs on how they want the country to go. But you get a group of people together that share, as we say, that common ground. All right, that's where we have to become united under that common ground. We can have our differences, we can have our likes and dislikes of whether the current president or the last president. All of that stuff, those are peripheral issues. It really comes down to what is the unifying or united causes that we can get behind. What can we agree on? We have to find things that we can agree on. That's been the strength of the United States from the very beginnings, from the start of the American Revolution to now. It has everything to do with trying to find that common ground. We talked about going, across the aisle. That was such a big thing back in the day of politics. It was championed. It was championed in the news to that. They met across the aisle and came up with a package. Because before, we used to talk about immigration was about numbers, like how many people do we let in, how many people do we not let in. That was always the big debate, not like the extent that it is now. But socially speaking, you have a group, whether it's the Project 2025 authors or the people that it's intended to inspire. Those people they work off of hate, and they work off of bigotry, and they work off of racism, and they work from those angles that we won't allow to be part of that common ground.
No, very good, Coach. Kind of stole some of my thunder there.
Sorry.
But I'm going to go with that. And where I was going is what we're trying to do here. Look, you can go see your Joe Rogans and more power to all of them. They're making all the money. They got the big audiences. I'm not mad at them. But we've got to find a way. Listen, I'm gonna be 62 years old soon, and I'm hoping that, I don't know, before I pick up my cell phone and it says God, we could, like Coach said, unified. No, that's impossible. That's basically impossibility. But united, as we say in our new show name, united and not divided. We gotta find. If we can't get there, we got to find the path to get there. At least start it. At least start talking, which is why our motto now is where we meet on common ground. And I don't want to speculate. I'm a shit talker. And I don't, my therapist told me I have to learn how to shut the fuck up. I don't know how I'm going to do that. But what I don't want to do is spend that time bad-mouthing Trump or bad-mouthing Harris or bad-mouthing the right or bad-mouthing the left. What are the answers? What are the answers? If we don't have the answers, it's just like building a house. You got to start somewhere, right? You got to start with the foundation. Let's start with the foundation, and let's build out and see what we find. That's all we're trying to do, because in 4 years, if all goes according to the way it's supposed to go, in 4 years it's over. Donald Trump is gone. God forgive me, but we don't even know God if he'll even be alive. Joe Biden will be alive. Who's the next? Who are the next faces? Who are the next names? It eventually, somebody has to come along to try to find our way back. Too much poison has been put out by both sides. By both sides. Too much poison. Too much hate. People are too comfortable attacking other people and getting off on people being attacked because they're not on my side or they're the other side. I close it with this. I hope that all we want to do in America is be able to look at the guy across the street, the woman in the store, or anybody around you and not worry what might pop off because of an environment that has been created in America. We have to find a way to be united, not divided. And we do that by wanting to do, as we say in our slogan, where we meet on common ground. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. The new show, well, the old show, the new format. It is not Attack on the Politicals anymore. That is the last time I will say that name. Welcome again to United, Not Divided, where we meet on common ground. We'll be back soon. May not be back every week. Sometimes we'll be on for weeks in a row. We're going to get Laurie on camera. Don't worry, folks. We're going to get on camera. This is the year because she loves me. She loves the coach. She knows how important. You like this? You like how I'm putting the pressure on, Coach?
Yeah,
Thanks for joining us.
yeah.
Of course, the website is ngscsport.com. And we will be back soon.